The head of the Debt Management Office, Patience, only has had a lot of sleepless nights in the last few weeks. First, the Eurobond and the diaspora bond of about $3 billion in the month of November. And after that, trying to put papers, everything together for the green bond that we've talked about for about a year and a half under the former Environment Minister, Amina Mohammed. Now, the DMO has to deliver that baby before December the 31st. So today, the 18th, is the day when the book building starts for all investors to put in their bid. And we'll see how that results go out by Friday. So we're going to keep you in the loop. Ahead of that, last week, Patience Oniha, both in Abuja and in Lagos, was on a road show, taking everyone along to discuss the green bond, explaining the background of that, what the Buhari's administration looked to achieve. Let's take about 2 minutes to listen to part of the investment meeting that was held on Friday here in Lagos. We hear first from Patience Oniha, the head of the debt office.
As debt managers, we are also looking at how we can sort of manage the debt so that the debt service numbers are lower. So one of the major strategies, really, is why we're also accessing the external markets, because the cost of borrowing there is significantly cheaper than what it is in the domestic market. With the exception of this week's auction, and my colleague Afolabi is extremely pleased with the auction result, you will know that there's a difference of about 10% between borrowing in the domestic market and externally. So I'll give you an example. The 30-year bond, Eurobond, we raised it at 7.625%. Okay, in Nigeria, even for our 10-year bond, before this week's auction, in fact, if you look at Q3, let's not even look at Q4, we're borrowing in some instances at almost 17%. And for treasury bills, with a discount rate of 18, you're talking of an effective cost of about 22%. So we needed to also see how we could bring down debt service. That explains also why we're looking at the external. Okay, so some people ask, if you are going to borrow externally, aren't you assuming a foreign exchange risk? We tell them we have a natural hedge. We earn, our revenues are in dollars. But more than that, there are various efforts being made to increase our export earnings. Okay, so there's an export drive, but also an import substitution drive. So that will reduce the demand for foreign exchange going forward. If we, as we know, stop importing rice, wheat, and the several things that we import, we know that the demand for foreign exchange should drop. So both ways, working on both sides, in managing the demand and the supply side of FX, we expect the exchange rate to be stable. That is if it doesn't get better. And we're already beginning to see foreign investors come back to the FGN securities market. So supply on all sides are increasing. So I want to assure you that in managing the public debt, we're considering various sides. We're not just sitting and each time you see us in an auction, you say they've come again. No, there's a strategy around all of that, and we are conscious of the debt to GDP ratio, the debt service to revenue ratio, as well as the foreign exchange risk.
Okay, Patience Oniha, the head of the Debt Management Office, that's laying the groundwork for that, the strategy behind the debt offerings of the Buhari's administration. But what are the technical details of this green bond we're talking about? Will they look green, really green, when they're really floated this week? Let's take a listen to some of the analysts and experts and investment bankers who spoke to that issue on Friday at the Investment Roadshow.
The issuer is the federal government, like any other secured note of the federal government. So there's nothing anyone here hasn't seen before. There's nothing new here. The issue size, it's 150 billion altogether. But the initial series, the one that's coming up, is just under 10.7 billion. Now, we expect to see a lot more issuances, larger sizes next year. They're all captured in the 2018 budget, so we'll see more issuances and they'll be larger than the 10.7 billion now. In terms of tenor, it's a 5-year paper, and it will be done priced by way of a book build. Now, pricing, it will be referenced, it will be based on the prevailing, 5-year paper. I believe the DMO has done an auction this year where probably 20 of us here in this room have participated in, which printed, I believe, at 13.2%. Now the reference, the book we expect to open next week, and will provide a range for the book build. But the reference point, like I said, will be a 5-year outstanding paper. In terms of use of proceeds, Aubrey has spoken about that. The REMU, number one, essentially it's providing clean electricity to communities that never had electricity before. Now just think about the transformational impact on that community. The second one is energizing education. That is a very, very noble cause. We all know someone here, we all know someone that goes to university in Nigeria. So imagine providing clean electricity to those universities. Starting with 9 universities, but as we go on, it will go around to all the federal universities in the country. And finally is afforestation program. We all know how desertification is affecting Nigeria, and this project goes to stem the desertification we're seeing in the country. In terms of liquidity, just like any other FGN issuance, it will be listed both on the NSE and also the FMDQ. We do have a listing event at the NSE early in January, which will communicate the date to you. Subscription minimum is 10 million naira. We'd like to encourage some retail participation, and incrementally at 1 million after that. Next slide, please. So the next slide is just the transaction timeline. We kicked off yesterday at the Abuja Investor Forum. Today we're here in Lagos meeting you guys. And next step is we're opening the book. We expect the book to open on Monday. It's a book build, like I said, we provide the range on Monday, and it will stay open on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. On Thursday, we expect to have allotment confirmations, and Friday is funding date. Now, Friday, you should bear in mind for prospective investors, Friday is the last working day before Christmas, so banks are likely to close, half day. So we should be prepared to. It's a small issuance, so in order to get our names on it, we should be prepared to fund quite early on Friday. Like I said, the listing event will happen in January. We do have a tentative date. It's not firmed up yet, but we'll communicate once that is known for certain. Key investment highlights.